Hello everyone, and welcome back to Star Trek Amaterasu, also known as Whose Starship Is It Anyway? A Star Trek Adventures actual play using the second edition rules by Modifius Entertainment. My name is ELH the Game Master, and joining me are three lovely individuals who are just here to have fun and relax and just have a good time. But we'll start with Matthew. Matthew, who you playing and anything you want to shout out, or lack thereof?
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew. I play the Cardassian Dr. Armin Matan, and I have nothing whatsoever to shout out because I don't have any socials of any kind.
Nothing else you don't want to pontificate about the horrors of social media and how it's draining on everybody's psyche and
No, I
should be a
think we've already.
Lovecraftian
I,
entity and
I was going to say intellect, not psyche per se, but
okay.
no. I think that we're all well aware of the horrors of our existence, and we want to escape into fantasy for a while.
Fair. You know what? Very fair. Very valid. Techno, what do you got going on?
What Matthew doesn't know is that this is an episode all about social media. Hello, everyone. I'm Techno. I'm looking forward to scenes from a chat. So get those suggestions ready, chat. I am playing Jeanette Cato, the Betazoid Lieutenant Commander Intelligence Officer of the Amaterasu and occasional commander of the auxiliary ship. Um, I also have nothing to shout out, but just to say hello. Good to be back.
All right. And last but not least, Bean, what do you got going on?
Hello, I'm Bean and Skull Goblin. I am just a little goblin, and I'm playing the ship AI, Aiga's Amaterasu. And on my channel, which if you just like, there's my name. There you go. I showed you my name. You will be able to find me suffering as I do multiple Pokemon Nuzlockes through the rest of however long I survive.
All right. And with that, let's run the intro and then we'll get started proper. Oh, I don't know how much the chat heard of that, but welcome back. We
What
were
a
just
line to come
talking.
back on if that's what they heard.
Yeah. Just a lot of grinding. Just take that out of
Mm,
context.
mm, 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 mm.
But where we last left off was the Amaterasu in the Andromeda Galaxy doing Starfleet things. And I think, Bean, do you still have the log or should I just do a
I
narration?
I have a log.
Okay.
System logs 532.182. Us, the ship, have been orbiting around an M-class moon, AG342M3, yet to be named, around a J-class planet AG3242, also yet to be named. We have set down to investigate the moon, and I have been gladly informed by my fellow commander that there isn't any sentient life on this planet. As such, we'll be unable to break or bend the Prime Directive. And this remark was not taken kindly. The away team has been most uneventful on the moon, as limited life forms are rarely above 3 foot. And it's rare, besides for the one taking command of Cato's tricorder, um, where they do not interact with us. Suggest next time I do suggest that he use holoclothing as he was adjusting his footwear when the creature had taken his tricorder. However, he stated this would make him feel naked, which is incorrect because a hollow field would be around his body. A life form in a similar to a Cardassian Grildar or a Earth squirrel, which is both enlarged to the size of a dog of a German breed shepherd. This is to stretch in size, maybe. It seems that the life form was rather fearful. The moment anybody tried to gain the tricorder, it darted off into the woods. Stating that tricorder isn't worth the chase, Commander K2 stated it was his favorite and had given chase. Even simple missions are eventful with these two. End system log.
Very nice. You may have a momentum for that log. So we join Matan, Kato, I guess. You are sort of just going through a temperate forest. Sun's out. It's about 21 degrees Celsius, roughly 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not terrible. It's nice. It's good spring weather. And you're sort of just trying to track down the squirrel-like creature that's the size of a German Shepherd that stole Cato's tricorder. And as being said, as far as anyone knows, there's no other sentient life on this planet. There's no prime directive to break. There's absolutely nothing that could get in your way, question mark. But that's where I'll drop you in as you all kind of track this creature, and we'll just sort of see what happens.
Just saying, Planet Annoying seems like a good name, is all I'm saying.
And I think that is a very crass way to call this planet. It, the creature is only going off his prime instincts, and if you hadn't put your tricorder on the rocket instead, put it on your belt as protocols dictates, it wouldn't have taken it.
If I put it on, I mean, look, you're not wrong, and fine. I'll own that mistake. I'm just saying it's very irritating to have things stolen from you when you're just adjusting your boots, and they're boots without zips. So, like, what adjusting even needs doing? But there we go. It's full of stones. How did that happen?
Again, hollow clothing would allow you to disengage small items like stones from the underneath of the fields.
Yeah,
You
but
just need
then
to.
look, leaving aside the whole problem with hollow clothing, and what if there's a malfunction and then suddenly I'm standing naked in the middle of the I don't know, the bridge? Or what if because the holodecks always go wrong, what if the safety filters disengage and my jumper tries to strangle me?
There's also the matter of the fact that we don't really have the power to expend on such a frivolous use, even though the holodecks do run on their own separate power systems that are completely decoupled from the rest of the ship, which never made much sense to me from an engineering perspective. It would be utterly irrational in a biological system to have some sort of completely distinct neurological system running through the body. I don't even know what the corollary would be.
But portable holographic power grids have much improved since they were first introduced.
Yes, but much improved doesn't mean removed the failure rate. Like there's still I'm not going to a meeting with the captain and running the risk that I will suddenly, through no fault of my own, suddenly be naked.
I think you're looking at the faults of this, not willing to progress the scientific field of holographic technology. Also, I think I see the creature that way with your tricorder.
Well, I mean, I'd scan and check, but I don't have my tricorder because it has my tricorder. So, Doctor, would you mind confirming that?
Very well. And he'll take out his tricorder and do a quick scan of the region to see if he can detect the technology itself.
All right. Very simple roll. Reason science. Difficulty of 1. And I'm trying to see if you've got a focus. Not really.
So, no focus, roll dice.
All right, there's your 1. So, you do confirm that there is the creature maybe about 30, 40 meters off to the left. But you're also seeing that further beyond that, like a good 60, 70 meters, there's a conclave of the creatures. Like, we'll say there's probably about 5 to 10 of them.
And Matan just gently, gingerly closes up his tricorder and slips it back in his belt, turns to the commander. Well, Commander, I think that your erstwhile tricorder is on its way towards a family of these creatures, perhaps a nest of some sort.
Oh, they're pack animals. How wonderful.
It, if we get there and they're worshipping it like some kind of religious icon, I'm not going to be happy.
What's the chance of that happening in the same month, Commander Cato?
I don't know,
And if it
and I'm
happens a
not.
third time, then you
And
may
if I
have
had
to
my
go.
if I had my tricorder, I'd be able to calculate that, but I don't. So
I would give it a percentage of about 5.75%.
And if it happens a third
It's
time, do you
unlikely,
have
but not
frequent
impossible.
flying miles for Prime Directive violations?
what do I get? Like a coupon or something for like the
The
buffet,
brig.
like the
Well,
brig,
yes,
right?
3 violations of the Prime Directive, and you get a free court martial.
Right. Okay. Well. Okay. I mean, what if they're justified, though? I mean, I suppose that's what the court martial will determine, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah. Seems unfair. Seems also like that's too many, but okay.
I don't think
Do
you
you wish
can
it for it to
maintain both
be
those
one?
positions.
If that's the case, then we will be all having a court martial, Commander Cato. And since
Yes,
you were
well,
the
I
lead of
mean,
the mission, I
Oh, no, no,
believe
no,
that
no. He was the one who was negligent with his equipment. That doesn't fall on us.
no, hang on. We're not talking about now. I think we're talking about before
Yes, but we only have one on our frequent Prime Direction violation card.
punch card. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
All things considered, I think the captain was incredibly lenient with us.
Well, what's she going to do? Find other officers? That's not exactly possible out here, is it? Turn the ship around and go home to our own galaxy?
I mean,
That would
I
be
don't think they
excessive.
can physically remove me without a dry dock.
Interesting. So, any future Prime Directive violations we can blame on you.
No, because I am able to record the entire situation,
Oh,
including
damn.
this.
Yeah. This is
Let us carry on investigating your missing tricorder.
one of those times I really wish I had Commander Mara's access to wipe your memory for brief periods. Anyway,
Of course.
over that way, you said.
Yes.
Mm.
We should be at least somewhat cautious. We don't know if these creatures might prove hostile if we encroach upon their nest.
Kato literally has his phaser out and he's setting it to the stun setting. I'm well ahead of you on that one.
That might be somewhat excessive, though. We don't want to harm these creatures. Even a
That's why
minor
it's on
stun setting
stun.
can disturb the neuroelectrical functions of certain creatures' brains. So you might want to let me take a scan of the creatures before you start firing at them.
I mean, by all means, Doctor.
Thank you, Commander.
Mm.
I find your
good. Someone
predilection
got
towards
you
violence
momentum
to
as
be somewhat
well.
disturbing, but
It's not it's my favorite tricorder.
why?
I do not understand. It is this similar to any other tricorder found on the ship.
No, I replicated this one at the academy. I've made a couple of upgrades to it. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. I want it back.
Haven't we,
You've
as a
had it since the
civilization, evolved
academy?
beyond possession and the need to acquire physical goods?
I'm not even going to justify that with
Has
a
it
response.
have you gone through all appropriate updating methods with this tricorder? Usually, a monthly update and then a yearly disintegration and reinitialization is usually used for tricorders.
Well, not this one. And that's what makes it special.
Logs a system report.
You unlog that right now. That is like. And Doctor, what are you telling me? You've got no fine works of Cardassian artwork in your quarters or something like that? Field notes on esoteric medical techniques or something like that?
Well, the notes are important insofar as the knowledge they contain, but it's not as if I'm keeping the paper that they were written on, as if I even use paper. Who does that?
Well, true, yes. But I mean, surely you have something in your quarters that you're attached to.
I mean, I don't really spend very much time in my quarters. I'm I'm in the sick bay about 21 hours a day.
Is that healthy?
Remarkably, yes. Yes, you'd be amazed at what the body can do once you have honed it and trained it. It's the body is merely a garden to which the will is the gardener.
See. So how many hours without sleep have you are you on now?
About 17. It's not very much.
I mean, it sounds like a lot.
Well, to the weak-willed, yes. You wanted to get your tricorder back, though.
Briefly considers using the phaser in another way. Um, yes, I do want to get my tricorder back. Have you scanned the creatures? Are they going to fall into some kind of neuroleptic shock if I stun them with my phaser?
Well, no, you were conversing with me. It would be rather rude of me to try to carry out my duties as a medical and science officer if I was disregarding the conversation afforded me by a superior officer.
You know, you called me weak-willed, and it's
Oh,
taking an amazing amount of willpower not to phaser you, Doctor. So if you wouldn't mind
sorry about that.
just scanning the creatures, please.
Certainly.
Thank
All
you.
right. Matan, another scan. Very easy. Difficulty of 1. Reason medicine. You have xenobiology as a focus. Okay, so that is 2 successes, meaning you're up to 3 momentum. Well done. So, what that's going to mean is, Matan, you notice that these creatures can be stunned safely. They, how do I put this? You probably don't want to go too high in the stun setting, but they should be fine with a lower one. But what you notice is that they are, for lack of a better term, beaver like, in that as your group is approaching the area where the conglomeration of these creatures are, you see what is essentially an assemblage of wood into a den. And there's also what appears to be a nest outside of this den. And it's all contemporary materials, like you're seeing local berries, local leaves, local wood, nothing out of sorts besides the tricorder, except for something you see in the nest. And as you all come upon the scene and look into the nest, what you see is the tricorder has been placed there, but above the nest is a arachnid-like carapace that looks like it might have been shed from something like a lobster or something like a crab, where like a shell has been pulled off of something with like 6 to 8 legs, kind of a thing. And also in the nest with the tricorder are a bunch of berries, bits of food, bits of shiny little rocks, that sort of thing. And the squirrel creatures are just sort of like chittering around and going in and out of the den and going over and leaving little offerings for the nest, that sort of thing.
When you say offerings, you mean like food offerings to fellow things or offerings to the crab shrine?
Yes,
Oh, like worshiping the crab shrine.
maybe.
Praise be to the crab gods.
Well, I don't like that already.
Interesting. Planetary scan says did not suggest a creature of that size or caliber.
That
It's
too.
it's
Hmm.
possible that it was living in the seas or oceans.
That or its
And
carapace is a natural deflector of scanning arrays, which would disrupt long-range scanners.
Are we near a sea or ocean?
Checking. Topography.
You've got a lake nearby, but the lake is not as big as say like, and this is only going to make sense to Americans, I guess, but it's not as big as say like Lake Ontario or Lake Erie or Lake Michigan.
It's not one of those big can see it on a map lakes.
Yeah, it's more of a pond if we're being generous.
Can suggest that there's not a relatively large size lake nearby. However, if the creature of that size is in that lake, which would mean that there would only be a small population of it, suggesting that there would be migratory or be very few species within inside that lake.
On a meta level, could I spend the momentum from that scan to ask a question about the carapace?
Sure, what you got?
Do I detect anything in terms of the mineral composition of the shell that would suggest that it is extraterrestrial in nature or like extraplanetary from this body? Like it has different material components that aren't found on this world.
Yeah, I like it. Let me just check your talents real quick because I forget. Because you have regimented mind, which is if you ask a question, you that's what it was. If you ask a question, you can reduce the difficulty. So here's what you find, Matan, as you scan the carapace from a distance and you look at your tricorder. The carapace is extraterrestrial, but what you also notice is kind of just happenstance. There is a similar mineral composition in, and there's someone throwing thread at my face. There is a similar mineralogical composition somewhere in the soil. Like, so obviously, soil is in different layers where you have the topsoil, and then you have the layer below that, and the layer below that, etc., etc. About 3 layers down, there is about an inch deep layer of the same mineralogical makeup as that carapace.
Well, I think we're dealing with something that's extraplanetary in origin. But oddly enough, I'm detecting similar mineralogical compositions to the shell. And he points over in a different direction towards the earth, and then like rotates his hand down slightly under the ground over there.
A space shuttle or similar similar structure could have crash landed on the planet, dispatching a exotic life form into this area.
It's possible.
ELH, I would like to go over the ship's history records to see when we were traveling through this. I presume we've been like scanning as we're going, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
See if anything similar pops up on the database.
Sure. Why don't you give me a reason and engineering on your part? And since the
Mhm.
Amaterasu is assisting you, if the Amaterasu could give me a computers engineering, the
Which
difficulty on this will be a 1.
it doesn't need to make that roll because it's computers. I'm the con officer. I changed that assistance to a one, so that means I crit. Crit
Okay,
because
so you already got two
I'm talking
successes
to
from the ship.
myself and I got a crit because of it.
Nice.
And then what was the target number?
Just a 2.
Just a two. So I just need to not fail. And what sort of focus would I be looking for this? Computers, maybe?
Computers, yeah, computers is what you got. Computers are sensor operations, really.
I got both of those, so
Okay,
hey.
well, that is 2 successes plus the 2 from the ship. For 4 successes, you're up to 5 momentum. So, what you notice, I guess, is you're not seeing like signs of warp trails or signs that there is a crash landed vehicle or signs of a crash.
Hmm.
But the Amaterasu is able to confirm that this layer of ET material, as I'm going to call it, this layer of ET material is not just localized to where you currently are. It is actually across the entire surface of the planet, where about 3 or 4 layers down, there is that inch deep layer of something. You don't know what, but something.
Three layers under the crust. It seems that over the entirety of this moon has deposits of this material.
Hmm.
So what? There's like a layer of crabs down there. Like, is that what you're telling me? Or
The layer is not necessarily completely comprised of crabs, Commander Cato, but is related to the crabs, as they seem to have come from the same interplanetary source.
right, right. So
ELH,
Yeah,
may
what's
I
up?
spend a momentum to ask how many years would it have been? Because I assumed it hit the planet and then time has passed, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So spend 1 momentum, go down to 4, and what I will tell you is that it has been about 150 years since that impact, deposit of sediment, whatever you want to call it.
And it would be suggested this event happened 150 years ago.
hmm.
As long as this geopolitical activity is comparable to other M-class planets.
I mean, naturally, yes. Which seems awfully soon or recent for such a thing to have happened, but
It
interesting
also
nonetheless. How deep down are we talking?
I mean, you could start digging with your hands or pull out a shovel, and you can get to it pretty easy.
I'm going
It'd
to do
probably
that.
take a
I'm
few
going to.
hours, so I presume.
Well, yeah. How? Yeah.
No, I mean, like it's deep enough down that with a actual shovel, you could get to it within like 10 minutes.
Oh, so it's only a few meters underneath the ground, is that?
Yeah, it's not that far down.
Step one: get back my tricorder. Step two: we investigate this layer that's this mineral layer.
Hmm.
ELH,
Uh,
how long does a sorry, Matthew.
Go ahead.
How long does a warp signature take to dissipate?
I
Would
think it depends
150?
on the type of warp signature, but in general, unless somebody is using a different warp technology than Starfleet does or the
Hmm,
aliens you encounter does, there's no sign of warp technology anywhere.
as you were, Matthew, sorry.
Not a problem at all. In character, he's going to gesture over to Igus. Uh, Perhaps, given that you'd be immune to any reprisal, you could retrieve the commander's strike order, and the commander, as I'm sure he's itching to use that phaser he's holding,
Not
will cover you.
itching to use the phaser. It's
I will go retrieve the tricorder, Doctor.
Thank you, I guess I
QHs,
greatly appreciate it.
as do I.
All
I
right.
head over to the tricorder. I presume it's in the middle of this nest.
Mm-hmm. And as you approach Igus, three or four, let's say four, of the squirrel dogs kind of pile out of the den and they stand between you and the nest. And like they're doing that dog thing where they're doing like a slight bow and their tails are wagging back and forth, big fluffy tails. And they're like chittering and making little noises. It's actually kind of cute, but they're also the size of German Shepherds. So make of
Hmm.
that what you will.
I want to collect what seems to be their dietary things from the local area and
Mm-hmm.
approach them, put some in front of me before, and just trying to make sure that I seem more friendly than hostile
Okay.
by
So
bribing them with food, as you
bribing
do.
them with food. Oh, if we had an animal handling check, I'd tell you to do animal handling. But this is Star Trek Adventures. So why don't you give me a presence? And is this con or
On.
command?
Con?
Yeah, let's do presence con.
Hmm. I don't think I
And let's
have,
make
unless
this a
linguistic counts.
let's make this a difficulty of 3, but because I find
Hmm.
it funny, you have infiltration as a focus.
I'm going to try to. Hmm?
Why didn't we think of this ages? You could have made yourself look like one of them.
You
That's
could.
my second plan. This doesn't work.
Why didn't we not think of that?
I'm going to spend 3 momentum to get 4 dice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am then going to roll.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
Ooh.
that's 3 successes.
I'll take the complication.
Take the complication. All right. So as you start to collect the food and start to bribe your way to the nest, the squirrel dogs, as I'm just going to keep calling them now,
Did they take
the
my
squirrel
mobile method?
dogs are going to, of course, be happy that you're giving them food. They're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, you're bringing us food," and they start to do like that ferret thing where they try to like grab your hand and pull you towards the den and try to be
Hmm.
very friendly with you. And it's again, it's cute if you find squirrels the size of German shepherds cute, but the complication is going to be that they are deliberately trying to steer you away from the nest. Where anytime you start to go towards the nest, they like circle around you and kind of try to herd you away from the nest.
It seems that even though I have befriended them, they seem to, as I'm like slowly being pushed away in a friendly manner. So Igus is probably not got like a fear reaction at all. She's got this bland neutral thing. It's like, this is interesting.
Well, if you're keeping the squags occupied, I can go in and try to acquire the tricorder.
Very well. I will keep these fluffy critters occupied.
Are you really going with squogs?
It seems better than squirrel dogs. That's a bit of a mouthful.
Squogs entered into the logs.
Do we have to? I really. You won't take Planet Annoying, but you'll take Squog.
Well, squog isn't actually a word; it doesn't
A
exist. So
That's
it's
even worse.
free game.
And I really
Captains
feel
don't
like
normally have final say on naming a planet or
yeah, but you
planetoid
know what she's
object.
like. She'll be like,
However, the
yes, that
first
sounds
person
logical,
to
and it'll
name
be.
a fauna or flora is the person who gets to name it.
So what? Who? Fine, fine. As long as it gets me back my tricorder, fine.
Come on,
I
Squogs.
mean, if you
Come over here.
Latinized the annoying, then perhaps that would be something that you would accept. Humans have a strange relationship with Latin, and it seems to have translated over to Vulcans.
Well, Matan, as Igus is being the Squog Whisperer, I'm going to need you to give me a fitness and a con at a difficulty of 2 to get the tricorder out of the nest.
Okay. Okay.
And unfortunately, I don't think your uniform code of justice will help you here.
Can I assist
Or
If you tell me how.
and hear me out.
by being the Squog Whisperer?
All right, you may assist with a presence command on your part, I guess. And remember, it's one assist on it's one die on assist. Mm-hmm.
There we go. I have assisted.
Okay, so that's one success.
Xenobiology and infectious. No, I don't have focuses.
Okay, well, it was a difficulty of 2, so you have 3 successes, meaning you get 1 momentum back. So, Matan, as Igus is being the Squog Whisperer, you walk up to the nest, pick up the tricorder, and walk it back to Kato without any issue.
He's just sort of like looking at it from both sides. He for a moment, it seems as if he's going to flip open the tricorder, but he hesitates, removes his hand, and then hands it back to the commander. It looks like it's in good working order, no damage.
Thank you. And Kato has a look at it. Oh, this isn't actually my tricorder.
I seem to have gained some additions to my structure as I'm just covered in squogs.
It's just a standard issue tricorder. I'm sure it's very good though, and I'm glad that we recovered it because of
resource.
You didn't want to
reasons.
contaminate their culture with the tricorder.
Exactly.
Preserving the integrity of their civilization.
I mean, I'd hesitate to call it a prime directive violation, but I mean, it could have become one. So
I mean, in 10,000 years, maybe they have some kind of advanced
resource
civilization. And
retention is useful in long range exploration.
Do you need help? I guess. Are you okay over there?
No physical danger, and this
that doesn't answer my question. Oh, okay. You're good then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what will happen if you try to approach, so please approach with caution.
You want to get that one off your mouth, so I couldn't quite catch that.
I mean, they're very large. I'm not sure that she has the leverage to do that.
Well, I mean, all the more reason that we should help.
No, I think the situation will resolve itself.
Please approach with caution if you do so. I do not know how they will react.
Okay, right. Look, okay, I've got a tricorder back, so we're good. We should maybe
favorite tricorder then.
Probably in my quarters. Yeah, I left it on my desk. Or possibly it's in the bar. It's not important. It's on the ship somewhere. So let's doctor, let's extract ourselves from this situation. And perhaps we can investigate this layer of sediment that we found, this unusual layer of sediment. That sounds like a more productive use of our time.
Well, rather than, or other than indulging your predilection towards violence by phasering the creatures, which is now an impulse that I rather understand, not directed towards them, do you happen to have any means of removing them or encouraging them to stop crushing our holographic officer?
Well, you seemed quite confident that the situation would, and I'm quoting you here, resolve itself, Doctor.
Oh, yes. It's just that you're the one who wants to leave so quickly.
I mean, well, we can do that, and Aegis can catch up.
Well, that would be rather rude.
Well,
away mission procedures would have you not leave me alone with unknown life forms.
Yes, but I'm just saying, as you've said, it's not like they can harm you. Okay, fine. You know what? I'm in the wrong. Let's do what you want to do, Doctor. How would you proceed with this situation?
Well, I asked you that question. Other than using your phaser, do you have some means of extricating her?
No. Short of, perhaps we could attempt to replicate her success by offering them berries.
Matan is going to look around towards the ground. Is there like a stick on the ground?
There's a stick. It can be a good stick. It can be a bad stick. It is your stick. There are many like it, but this one is yours.
We'll eat it. You will sleep with it.
I think this is going to be one of those perfect sticks that has like a small outcropping or portion that comes out that looks like you can use it as a firearm or something like that. Just like those perfect sticks you had as a kid. So we pick
Right.
that up, look at it sort of disdainfully, break off the portion that's emerging from it, and then start waving the stick towards the squogs.
Okay. Matan, give me a presence command difficulty of 1.
We don't go back to the ship with one of these. I'm going to riot.
Um, I feel like methodical planning would almost come into effect here because this is a plan, but no. I will
Methodical,
use
though.
one momentum and I'll roll that.
Okay. Well, good thing you used the momentum because you needed it.
Hmm.
So, interestingly, Matan, as you wave the stick, the squogs all sort of slowly turn to look at you, and then they all jump off of Igus at once, and now you are basically surrounded by squogs.
Okay.
They seem friendly creatures.
Well, part A of your plan has gone as expected, Doctor. I hope you had a plan B.
Well, this is just phase one of the meticulously orchestrated plan that I'm effecting at this very moment. It has multiple branching pathways that could be followed, depending on how this goes.
And
I'm
in the
according
flowchart
to
in your mind, which of the particular branches would you be following now?
Well, this is still plan A. We're fine.
That's fine, but what's the next branch of your
I
master
am
plan?
recording this for future training manuals to deal with
Please,
squogs.
please do.
Well, the branch is the branch, and he just
Yes.
hucks it into the distance.
All right. So you throw the stick, the squogs go chasing after it, and then they come running back and give it right to you.
Well, that was certainly something that happened. Was it within expectations, Doctor?
Yes, very much so.
Oh, okay.
Are you two okay? Have you some unresolved personal issues that you wish to talk about?
Even if we did, I don't think now's the time, Agus.
No, and if we did have unresolved personal issues, they would be unresolved precisely because we don't want to talk about them, but only snipe at each other in a rather unprofessional manner.
But I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Doctor. It's not because of, say, dislike or anything.
No, not at all. I find this quite amusing, really.
Yeah. I mean, I know Cardassians flirt by arguing, but I don't want to suggest that's what we're doing. But like, I imagine there's like a camaraderie element that like a level down from flirting that we're doing.
I mean, you can assume whatever you wish. He picks up the stick and throws it again.
Wish I could read
Squogs
your
go
mind
running
sometimes.
I mean, you can. It would be a little bit difficult. I do have a rather regimented mind. There'd be layers to peel back.
Yes, but also I also find it somewhat rude.
Intrusive?
Yes. So
The squogs come back with a stick, but not just the stick. They also come back with a metal pole.
we didn't have that a second ago, Doctor.
That one of our metal poles? I scan it
You
with
scan
my
it.
tricorder, which turns
It
out to
is
be
the
Kato's
same.
favorite.
It is the same mineralogical output composition as the crab and as the sediment.
It is the same extraterrestrial material. Well, from the same group anyway.
So where did you throw that stick?
He sort of like points off towards the forested edge of the clearing. Uh,
I
he
hmm.
turns back to the squawk.
I
That's
head
a
over to
very
that
good,
clearing.
good boy.
Yeah.
Can you show us where you found that? Go on, boy. Take us to the source.
What's that,
If
Squawg? Agus is falling down the well?
I mean, I wasn't going
No,
that
help
far, but
me!
All right.
um,
Well,
Doctor, if
based
that
on your
works, I'll be incredibly impressed.
and
so
it
will I.
does. It does, in fact. They lead you like they kind of do that dog thing where they run forward and then they look back and then you walk and then they run forward and they look back and you do that like for about 10 meters, and you eventually come to, for lack of a better descriptor, it looks like someone has taken the metal pole part of a stop sign, snapped it in half, and then just stuck a bunch of those into the ground.
Doctor, I'm incredibly impressed.
Well, good. You should be.
I mean, I know for a fact that was not part of your plan, but I'm nonetheless very impressed that that worked.
I mean, how do you know that?
You
Well,
cannot
like,
tell me that there was a branch of your plan which was throw stick, Squog brings back bigger metal stick, convince Squog to take you to location of metal stick.
I think you underestimate the sheer number of branching pathways that exist
Well,
within this
clearly they're
entire
infinite
schema
in.
that I devised.
I spent
I,
two threat, by the way, because one squawk's going to go over to Kato and just sort of look at you.
Oh, hello. He
It
just looks down
chitters.
at it.
It
Okay.
chitters.
Um, Shoo.
It gets closer.
No, 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 no. Um,
I scan the metal pole to see
okay.
if how long it's been here.
Shoo means go away.
Are you okay, Commander Kato? As I'm just like boop 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 boop.
No, I'm fine. It's just last time one of these was near it stole my tricorder, so I don't want it. I'd like it to shoo. And he sort of gestures at the creature again.
Let's expand out that 24. That's enough. The squawg jumps up to your waist, steals your phaser, and goes running off.
Commander, we will need to speak to you about.
Aegis, just, 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 shh, if you please.
That's what it's strapped for on your uniform is for.
Let's just not, okay?
Go get the phaser before it shoots itself.
Could we
I
not
mean,
just
it's
transport
off,
the
so
phaser back to the ship?
yeah.
Get a
Aegis,
lock
can you
onto
get
the
a lock
signature?
on any equipment that's on me and just beam it to the ship, please? Not including my clothes. If you could leave my clothes and my comm badge in place, any other equipment I have, feel free to just take it off me before they do.
I guess transport a room for a four.
Go ahead, Igus.
Commander Kato has had one of the local fauna abscond with his favor. Would you be able to lock onto it and be able to transport it back up to the ship?
Done. We have, oh dear, we have a squirrel dog thing.
It's called a squawk, as
It's
named by
not
the
called
doctor.
Transporter Room 4. It's not called a squawk yet.
Transporter room 4, it is absolutely called a squawg. That is a scientifically apt and accurate description of its nature. I would thank you not to defy my medical determination in this regard.
Transporter Room 4, can you at least beam it back down without the phaser, ideally? And if you tell me that you didn't erect a security field around it the minute you realized that there was a creature in the transporter buffer,
So do you want
I
the
am
good
going to
news or the
have.
bad news?
Tell you what, why don't you take both the good news and the bad news, Transporter Room 4, and go and tell the captain about it?
Well, that's the thing. The captain was actually here. She was about to beam down to herself for a bit of reconnaissance.
Kato to captain.
Yes, how are you doing, Mr. Kato?
I'm having a day, Captain.
You always have a
First,
day. It's quite fascinating.
isn't it though? Firstly, um,
I will say that this squog is a remarkable creature. It's very friendly.
please tell me that we haven't entered it in officially into the records as a squad, Captain.
Until I'm given a better name, we will call it a squog.
Yeah, I've already logged it into my system, and I am in complete connection with the ship above. As such, is already in the main database.
Captain, can I call you back?
Of course.
Thank you. And he just stands there with his hands on his hips, just sort of sighing.
Also, Commander Cato, I seem to have had your personal tricorder this entire time. I just try to pass it to you.
Thank you, I guess. So sticks in the ground, huh?
Yes, there have been ELH may make a roll.
I'm just going to look at the tricorder readings that Aegis has been taking all this time.
Yeah, and just for momentum's sake, you can decide who's actually doing the roll, but it is a reason engineering difficulty of 0, so free momentum for you.
Sensor operations is applicable focus.
Most definitely.
Excellent.
Well, well then.
You know, the fact that
Hello.
your tricorder
So
has no
it turns out the
regulation may
planet's
have some
Unicron.
issues.
That's a thing.
I'm not going to re-roll. I'm just
No, I'm
extend.
happy with that roll. What could possibly go wrong? I am going to be holding my tricorder up as I read it, so it is definitely out of reach.
Okay. So complication 1, the metal bar is actually not like a solid material, at least not in the conventional sense. It's actually a amalgamation of nanomachines where it is formed just this very basic structure by just compressing and conglomerating a bunch of little nanomachines together. So there's a lot here. The nanomachines are inert. That's the good news. The bad news is, unfortunately, as complication 2 comes into play here, the squogs think you're trying to play a game with them, and they begin jumping on you, Kato, as they try to get your tricorder. And one of them does, of course, succeed, take your tricorder, and go running off.
Just off, shoot. Just get. This isn't turning into my best day ever.
Well, to be fair, you've made first contact with an alien race quite successfully and peacefully, and you've made at least first stage of a remarkable discovery regarding the history of this planet. So if you think about what we've actually accomplished, it's not all that bad.
You know what, Doctor? You're right.
You can just contact the Amaterasu and have them beam your favored tricorder back to the ship.
And probably the squirrel dog, the squog with it.
Then that's their problem, but they'll have your tricorder.
I send a message up to Transporter Room 3.
Oh, no. I was about to call Transporter Room 4 again.
Yes, Transporter Room 4 here. What can I do for you?
Would you be able to locate my tricorder, please, and beam it aboard the AMI? And ideally this time, if there is a biological component in the matter stream, if you could isolate that and reroute that back to the surface, please.
Very good. We have your tricorder, but we had a bit of interference. You might want to look up.
I look up.
Look up.
There's a squog in a tree now.
Oh, dear.
Is this your first day on the transporters?
Would you believe me if I told you yes?
Do you know I
Yes.
would? Yeah.
Yes.
You're doing a great job. And he's just going
the
to close the
captain
line.
says we're about to beam back your other squog. One moment. You look up and now there's 2 squogs in a tree.
Suggesting by the structure, would they be able to climb down from there, or
I
would this be
mean,
a case of cats and trees?
Cats and trees.
what's a cat?
I pass you another tricorder of a picture of a cat.
It's horrifying. What is this?
I think we should try and get that creature down and then look into the nanite structure.
I mean, order of operations. I should be to look at the nanite structure before we worry about rescuing these life forms from trees, especially given their predilection to stealing things from me. And he hands back the tricorder quickly before it gets stolen off him again.
Well, to be fair, these mechanical nanotechnological devices have been here for 150 years, by all appearances. The squogs, on their hand, seem to be a more pressing issue. We don't want them to hurt themselves.
I try to get a long stick
Cardassians are climbing trees.
and then like put the stick alongside the branch that they're on to try and give them a perch so they can walk down the stick that I have.
So that's going to be a very big stick. In fact, you might
Yes.
call that
The best
what's a
stick.
A log?
a log. Yeah, that's the word I wanted.
Yeah.
So I guess I know you are holographic, but I'm still going to require a fitness and I guess technically this is fitness security. Yeah, fitness security at difficulty of 2.
Um, Strategy as a focus.
Sure, why not?
Yes, let's go. Target number 2, right?
Yep, target number of 2.
I'm gonna give you a threat.
Okay, I'll take the threat.
I'm trying to save my new squad buddies.
Oh, there's your
Yay!
2. All right. So, I guess you find a dilapidated log, you Hulk pick it up, and then just kind of make a little ladder for the squogs, and the squogs all come running down, and then they go right to Kato again.
You see, Commander, you've developed such a rapport with them.
Have you
You
ever
know,
tried?
do you know, Commander, that's not a bad idea. And I'm actually going to try and telepathically connect with the squogs.
We're doing
Oh,
the Troy
no.
channel, everybody. We are doing
Yeah,
the Troy
no.
channel.
I'm opening up the Troy channel. Let's see what comes through.
The best way I can describe this is
I am dog.
you know how a golden retriever is, right? You know, they're always happy. They're very, very sociable.
Just the magic
animals.
roundabout going around in their head constantly. Yeah. Absolutely
That's-
nothing going on.
That's what you get back. It's just a amalgamation of that just coming back in your mind.
Friend, I'm hungry. Ooh, stick. Friend.
Throw stick. Come on, throw stick.
He leans down and gets the stick and just
Imagine if
Throws
Kato
it.
just resigned to just throwing the stick in the background as we do
Yep.
science.
Well, apparently I am keeping the local life forms what's the word, distracted. So if what can we get onto the more pressing issue of the nanite technology?
Certainly, me and the doctor will investigate the nanotechnology.
Thank you. And he's just going to throw the stick again because I presume the squads have brought it back at this point.
I also want to make a log to the captain because, not necessarily about the stick throwing, but, the nanotechnology, just so
Right.
people are aware.
Okay. All right. So tell me, Matan and Igus, as Kato is being the stick thrower, how are you going about scanning this nanite material? Are you going to dig up some of the soil? Are you just going to focus on the bars stuck in the earth? How are you going about that?
I'm going to try and find a small clump of it so I can put in a sealed container and then try to mentally link to it because I get to activate the Troy channel this time.
Oh, that's right. All right. Let me see. What would that be for Igus? Let me take a look. So Igus, I think this would be a presence in engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have a focus in both infiltration and computers.
Yeah.
I think I am going to make this a difficulty of 4, though.
Okay.
Sounds like a determination test.
Yeah, it does sound like a determination check. Knowledge is power, and gaining it is survival, is
Sure.
the value I'm going to go for.
Hmm.
Let me just mark it down. I have used that.
May I assist?
If you tell me how.
Basically, as Igus is preparing for that, I'm going to assist by digging up around one of the poles to access the layer itself so that she can connect to essentially the entire thing.
Okay.
So yeah, with
So
that, I'm
fitness
going to
con
connect to my
probably
small point, which is contained, and then if I determine it's safe, then use the doctor's access point for the
network, I
Yeah.
guess.
Okay.
network.
Yeah. So Matan Fitness Con on your part assist.
Um, survival.
All right.
Okay,
Well, there's your
so that means
assist.
I got three so far. I would give you another threat to get an extra dice.
Okay.
Um, focus, determination, roll.
All
Hey,
right. That
nice.
is 5 successes, meaning you get a momentum for your troubles. Well done. So it's interesting, I guess. When you connect to the isolated sample, there's a very rudimentary set of instructions. And it is basically convert organic material into metal.
Right.
And that's all these nanomachines are meant to do is they're just meant to eat organic material and turn it into metal. That's their entire instruction set. They have no other command structure. They're quite literally just point A to point B.
The larger network?
The larger network, same thing. However, since you succeeded so well, you will find that there is a control channel where after they make all this metal, they are supposed to gather it in one location for something they call extraction.
And I presume they've never got to the extraction part because nothing is collected in the same area.
Correct. And in fact, what you notice is that extraction area is where these poles are located.
Right. So it's not one specific place on the moon, it's dotted around it so it's easily collected metal. So it's finished its
Correct.
program and then switched off.
Correct.
Can I see if there's like any database on where these things come from, create a operation like code language tied to it? Because it seems like this is a rudimentary computer intelligence, but it would still have a base code that it runs off.
Yeah. Spend one momentum. I'll answer that question.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess in a bit of a sobering moment, remember those aliens that kind of stopped you from coming through Pandora's Gate the first time? And there was that
Uh,
whole thing. It's the same alien technology. It's apparently some form of reverse terraforming, where instead of converting an environment to be biological, what's the word I want? To be biologically safe for creatures, they are doing the reverse, where they're taking something that is biologically safe and turning it all into basic material.
yeah,
Cyber forming it.
it
Cyberforming it, I like
seems,
it.
or it's some sort of extreme strip mining.
That too. I mean, that's basically what it is if you think about it.
Well,
I
this is
guess,
utterly ghastly.
What's
just the
that?
whole
Throw a
sort of
stick.
AI thing where the eyes are like zipping side to side while reading a bunch of program and go, this entire moon is a security threat.
How so? Throws a stick.
You know the unknown alien life forms who tried to stop us going through Pandora's Gate?
I mean, I could be glib and say no. Why don't you remind me? But no, I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
This seems to be some form of either cyber forming or strip mining technology, which will turn biological matter into metal and then position it into easily extractable location to be harvested later. A sort of fire and forget mining operation or
Throws a stick.
cyberization method.
But
How
it's a
some
but it's inert.
It is a nerd because it has finished its programming. It has finished the acquired amount of organic material to metal and has not been collected. Its programming is not designed to go any further than that. However, This planet is known by these creatures, or at least has a in part of their grid system on harvesting. As such, they will come here and harvest the materials, which
Hmm.
also suggested that they have been here 150 years or more to be able to position this. One moment, as I will do a calculation to see if it's in that layer because it's been here 150 years, or it's been here sooner, but it's drawn the metal to that area. And that might be an additional roll since I have no momentum.
Nah, I think I can give it to you for free. It's 150 years. They have not been
Right.
here recently.
So
Uh,
yes,
Just a follow up question, if I may.
Sure.
With respect to the process, they set it up about 150 years ago. When did it actually complete?
Okay. And since you just got the momentum, if you want to spend it immediately to answer that question, what I will tell you is that the initial seeding was 150 years. It completed 148 years.
Ah,
so it only takes 2 years for this process to complete itself.
given that they've been absent from the planet for so long, it would almost seem as if they've forgotten about it. Perhaps the ship that was responsible for the seeding and collection operation was destroyed, or
I would still put the ship on yellow alert because we may not have this part of the system may not have sensors or some sort of long range communication device and a trip system. The system could still have been alerted that there is an unknown alien life form tampering with their technology.
Yeah, and that's partly why I was asking: is it definitely inert? I'm also confused as to how, if it's converted, presumably a large, if not the whole surface of the planet to a metal-like material like this, or whatever it was doing. Well, there's life here, abundant and verdant life.
My
So
my scan suggests that 70% of the moon's life forms were converted. The It would have been a catastrophic event, maybe apocalyptic. However, the natural process of the planet has retaken over. It seems that the flora is quite rapid with its expansion.
I'll say, throws a stick.
As
Um,
such, any seeds and stuff would probably be considered a biohazard, and we should treat them as such if they are able to reproduce in such a fashion.
let's not borrow trouble. But yes, probably a good idea to have maybe a different transporter room beam us up, and maybe do some biofiltering just to make sure that we are, uh, alone when we beam up. Um,
Also, also, I would suggest that we put the Yami to the captain that we put the Yami on to a yellow alert.
I don't disagree, but what's your reasoning?
That even though the system for extracting resources may be inert, there may be a secondary system which is not connected to the thing normally placed upon the poles to disrupt sensor scans on the planet, which would have triggered when the ship scanned the area.
Talking of ship scanners, how did we not pick this up from orbit?
well, their
It's
technology is largely unknown to us. It's possible that, in the same way that they cloaked their own vessels, they could scan us passively.
also from long-range sensors. This would have seemed to just be natural metal deposits. True, it is refined. However, it is just natural metal from the area.
All good points. Very well. And he taps his com badge and then throws a stick. Um, Lieutenant Commander Cato to Captain.
Yes.
Recommend going to Yellow Alert, Captain. We've uncovered here evidence that the race that we encountered at the gate some time ago um, appear to be using this moon as some sort of mining facility. Uh, Now they haven't been present for a long time, some 150 years or so, but we don't know whether or not our scans or our interaction with this technology has in some way alerted them or made some kind of contact with them. So recommend taking the ship to Yellow Alert. and perhaps beaming up the away teams that are also on the planet.
I concur. Very logical of you. Transporter rooms, please begin beaming up of away teams. Full quarantine procedures. Ship, go to yellow alert.
Recommend also increasing the biofilter sensitivity, as Aegis has identified that local fauna may be particularly, I suppose the word is productive, very virulent. Basically, we don't want to bring any aboard.
That would explain how the squad got aboard initially.
I'm not entirely sure that's the case. I think perhaps maybe inexperience might also have played a hand there, Captain.
I don't know. I think Ensign Jeffries is doing a phenomenal job for his first day.
Yes, sir. I'll leave it to your discretion, sir.
It also would explain why all of the fauna seems to be relatively small life forms.
True.
That such a catastrophic event would kill off any major life forms over a certain size, since they would normally be predators or omnivores and lose their major food sources. And even herbivores of that size would have lost most of its food source regardless. Also, I have made a theory that this is a advanced exploration method of this. They fire off, since we have not discovered any warp signatures, they may fire and forget these probes that hit this planet to allow them to have resources as they newly explore areas.
Seems like a very aggressive form of exploration.
Yes.
Given what we've seen of them, that would only seem to be in keeping with available evidence. I wonder, though, I guess, are the nanotechnological cyber formers still operational?
They are still functioning, however, they are in an inert situation. They have fulfilled their programming and have no other programming to do anything else.
Could they be reprogrammed?
Yes, I could reprogram them. However, I would have alerted the dangers of that due to the fact that these things would be able to turn anything which comes into contact with them into metal.
Well, I was actually wondering if the reverse could be true. Could it restore the metallic compounds that it's aggregated to inert biological material, essentially reseeding the planet and allowing it to perhaps recover something of its normal developmental pathway?
I guess there's the whole sort of zipping eyes is doing a bit of calculations. I could have them cannibalize themselves to reconstruct new parts to be able to do that.
Obviously, I'm not suggesting that we embrace that plan immediately, but it's something to consider, Commander.
It would either be a very risky procedure, since I do not know what biological matter they would be changing into, or a very lengthy process to as is colloquial term, dot the I's, cross the T's.
If you have the ability to reprogram them, would it not be perhaps safer for us and indeed for the life forms on this planet to issue them a sort of self-destruct code, just to sort of eat themselves?
Again, I would have to be quite careful with this. Any misalignment of code or a misunderstanding of directive could have them eat, say, all metal on the planet and destroy it, which includes the planet's core, or for it to replace any biological matter with the previous biological matter for 150 years ago, which could terraform the
Well,
planet into its previous state.
well, is you've got that sample in that container? Can
Yes.
you isolate it from the rest of the, for want of a better word, collective, and run a test on it?
Done.
Given that it's foreign to this planet and was thus easily identified by us during our attempted scan, I think that we should be able to work something out.
All right. I guess it sounds like you're going to be doing a bit of a role here. Let's have you do a daring engineering. You will have several focus that apply here. I'm just looking through your talents to remind myself what you got. I don't think you've got any real talents here that help you.
No.
You've used your determination. Let's make this a difficulty of. Let's make it a difficulty of 3, and I will spend 4 threat to bump the complication range to 17 to 20.
Could I argue for something?
Sure, what you got?
And I don't want to steal, I guess, his thunder, but could I argue that Matan does it because I do have regimented mind? I think it would actually lower the difficulty by 1 in this case, given that I posed a question regarding the composition of the material.
Right, it would lower it to a difficulty of 2.
Right. And would I be able to use science, perhaps?
I'll give it to you, sure.
Could I make a daring security to assist Baton as in a form of hacking the nanites?
Sure.
And
You can do
also
a Darren
setting up a
security assist
security
in that case.
process.
Yeah.
And I'll
the
stay in the
same-
background, just occasionally throwing a stick.
What you don't realize is actually being switched out for one of the metal sticks.
Yeah, probably. Different stick every time.
At some point, the stick is turned into an umbrella, and you're just throwing an umbrella, and then next thing you know, you're throwing like a pipe, and you just keep throwing it.
Okay, I give 1 success.
Okay.
And would quantum mechanics, considering we are determining the signature of the, I guess, the minerals and the quantum structure thereof, and then trying to reformulate it?
Sure. And just
And
remember
I'll
the
give you 1
complication
threat.
range is 17 to 20.
And perform task. Use focus, 3 dice.
Of course.
And that's actually 2 complications.
And no successes. So
And
my
no
And
successes.
no successes.
I didn't use my determination, so I think I'm going to use my determination to reroll that.
Yeah, because that's actually 3 complications right
Yes,
there.
yes.
So.
Let me just see. The prime directive of medicine is to serve life, in the sense that technically what we're doing could be considered interfering with the natural course of evolution of the species where they sort of find themselves now. But my primary concern is to ensure that life can flourish on this planet.
Okay. I like it.
So let's try that test again. 3, complication range of 17 using focus.
Yeah, I wouldn't want
Oh
to
my goodness.
let them meet.
Still a complication.
Yeah.
But you do get 3 successes, so you do get a momentum back for your troubles, so you got something going for you. So here's what happens. Matan, I guess, working together, you are able to create that sort of isolated sample where maybe you take a bit of metal, put it in the container, the nanomachines work, and they produce what is essentially biomass. It's just glorified, not really living, but sort of just peat, I think is the word for it. That sort of fertilizer, if you will. But the complication is going to be that all around you in the immediate area, the nanomachines are going to start converting that metal into a peat. So, Kato, we made the joke about at one point you picking up a metal stick and throwing it. You pick up a stick and it literally dissolves in your hands into this very rich fertilizer.
Huh. Was that an intended consequence?
The programming shouldn't have left the containment area. I am quite concerned.
Well, yes, as am I. And he just sort of shakes his hand.
I
Get the
start
peat off of
trying
it.
to contain it because I'm worried that if this spreads throughout the entire planet, earthquakes are going to happen because stone is going to be above this fertilizer and then crushed down.
Well, I have good news and I have bad news for you, I guess.
Oh, great.
The good news is that the signal has not propagated more than a kilometer away at this point, but the only way you're going to be able to contain this is, you know how Kato was making a joke about firing his phaser before? You might need to use the Amaterasu to carve a line, if you get my meaning. Which means
We need like a
everything
fire
in this
break.
kilometer diameter has got to go.
I guess Amaterasu to the bridge. I have given you a fire solution. I would advise you to follow it as quickly as possible. Prolonging this fire solution will increase the radius of the fire solution.
I guess you are within that firing solution. Should we beam you up first?
We can't just do that. You'll wipe out the
If we do not do
swags.
this, the Richter scale of the earthquake shall permeate the entire planet, as part of the interest will be turned into sludge.
The captain speaks up. How many squags are there? Six, seven, perhaps?
There is
I
a
mean, that
10 in
we
this den.
that we know of, that in this area we haven't scanned the whole area, Captain.
Captain shouts at someone off screen. Looks like we've got about 300 squog in the area. Very well. Beaming you, the squags, and everything else up immediately. And of course, there's that beam out sequence where you emerge into a transporter room. Somewhere we see a cutaway of a poor ensign in a cargo bay as just squog after squog after squog just sort of piles out of the transporter. And then we see a shot of the Amaterasu charging up her lateral phaser arrays and literally carving a circle and then decimating a kilometer wide circle on this moon. And the captain immediately reports and tries to get in contact with the three and goes, seems as though we've stopped the spread of this contamination. What happened down there?
We tried to contain a part of the nanites within a secure location and try to make it so that it turns itself into biological matter so that it could not be reactivated again and just devastate the planet. Somehow it was able to communicate with even with, I will say the exact sort of like jamming signal that we used on the device. So we'll call it like a level 9 jamming field on the device. It seemed to be able to penetrate that without major issue and put the new order into the area. If that had carried on, it would have activated every single night on the planet and turned it into sludge,
I
which is why I
see.
asked for a fire solution.
Captain, if I may interject for a moment, the experiment was my suggestion, and I will take full responsibility for the unintended consequences of its failure.
Uh, Captain, this is Cato, and while I appreciate the doctor's noble sentiment, I did sign off on the attempt, so actually all responsibility should fall to me. Sidebar, Cato to Cargo Bay free. I think you should probably find a stick. You'll know what to do with it.
So the captain actually chuckles herself and says, that's what I like about you three. Whenever there's a problem, you're all ready to fall on your own sword. It's very noble of you all. No, I think this is simply just a case of an accident that we weren't anticipating. And if anything, it's exposed that these aliens, whoever they might be, have means of communicating that are outside our current jamming technology.
Also, I'd like to state that is probably my issue since I am the one that activated the programming. However, I think we've already gone past that point.
Yes, yes, I'll give you all a dressing down later. But what concerns me is what we do with the 326 squags in Cargo Bay 4.
I
Um,
believe we look for a new biodome for them to occupy.
there are really
Also, they like
326 in a kilometer, in a square kilometer. That is a stunningly
Very
large.
densely packed species, yes.
Yeah, they must live in huge groups.
suggest
It's not relevant. Sorry.
looking over the scans, they seem to burrow as well as making nests.
Yes, in fact,
Uh,
as we were phasering the area, we made note that there were extensive underground material or underground tunnels.
um,
Hmm.
well, I suppose we'll have to relocate them to another area of the planet um, that would support them.
Perhaps that's how they were able to survive. They were underneath the area of effect of the
But
nanites.
the nanites are now underneath them. So how does that?
Oh, well, because 150 years ago they weren't.
Well,
Many of them were in their tunnel networks
That
while
and
the
they seem
surface
to
of the
have
planet was being
extensive
affected by the
populations. So
nanites.
even if a tunnel network was hit by the nanites, at least part of the colony would have survived.
I suppose so. I suppose we'll probably never know. But regardless, that doesn't help with what we do with them now. I mean,
Well, no, we just turned them into the planet.
yes, I suppose so.
Um, LH,
What's up?
can I check the area of devastation to see how the local fauna is handling it? And if by my calculations, if we were to assist the local fauna, if it would be able to repopulate that area in a relatively quick space of time.
I'll give it to you for free. Basically, you have done a controlled burn of the surface, and based on what you know of the planet life of this planet, or the plant life of this planet, it will more or less regrow over within a decade, if not sooner.
Which is quite fast for that, but not for our purposes. Um, Try to scan for a isolated island which has suitable amount of plant life, but not that much animal life to put them on.
Yeah, yeah. There's several islands you could use for that purpose.
So it gives them a similar area and without affecting any other animal life which is in the immediate area, and maybe divides the colony between different family groups. So then, between islands, so that we don't over saturate one island with these things.
Okay. So again, we'll sort of do a narrative look where we sort of see these different little island chains. I'm imagining something like the Caribbean where there's just little islands everywhere, and we see squags being beamed down in groups. And the squags all have sticks in their mouth. Apparently, Cargo Bay 4 just replicated a bunch of sticks. But the squags all have sticks. They're all happy. They start making their little dens, their little tunnels. And we also see at one point that one of the squags has a tricorder in their mouth.
I was going to ask if anyone has seen my tricorder.
Though, that aside, what I would like to do is I would like to go over the recordings of the incident with the communication and see if that now we know that they can get past our jamming and they have some other way to see if we can find what caused that.
All right. This is something I would normally do a roll for, but since this is technically our season, not series, season finale, I guess you look at the signal in question, and then you scan the immediate area of space. It's very similar to subspace, where now that you have the frequency, you now know not only how to pick up on this species' communication, but you might be able to locate them as well. And I think that's where we'll end today's session.
Dun,
because
dun,
that's a beautiful
dun.
point to end on. But yeah, what did you all think? This is actually something that was inspired by a book that I read. It was called The 10th Planet, where something very similar happened, where there was supposedly this 10th planet in our solar system that would fly by. It would put a bunch of nanites on the Earth and then turn it all into material, and then it would harvest that material and just fly away again. Really cool book if you can find it. But what did you all think? I'm very curious.
I enjoyed it. It turned from lighthearted to something which is actually serious.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It was nice to fall back into the characters, and I think that it presented us with both humorous opportunities for role play and interaction with the environment that you created, and also an interesting little mystery that we delved into as well.
Yeah, very nice.
What they said, yeah.
Listen, anytime we can get Kato to just be like, and I hate my day, I hate everything, just, all right, I'm done.
We don't try to make you hate your day. It just seems to be your face.
Oh, Lord. All right.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. All right. Well, YouTube, I'll see you later. Bye-bye, YouTube.